I think we all know that we're on the precipice of a change in government, that even Justin Trudeau's hijinks and his actually solid ability to campaign will not save him. We're in the midst of a cabinet or a caucus revolt, and hopefully that yields a walk in the snow from the Little Prince. Uh, but I think Canadians can look forward to a new government fairly soon. And let's hope that this new government embraces something that's very much un-Canadian, which is bold action. Canadian conservative governments have come in the past. I remember the Mulroney wonderful majority, and he was certainly a fine prime minister and a gentleman. And Stephen Harper remains my favorite prime minister. But they went on an incremental or go slow implementation of policy. Hopefully, Mr. Poilievre realizes that the country is broke and that bold action is what is required. And what is required in tax policy is not just a repeal of every single liberal tax measure implemented since Justin took power, but a rethink on how we tax in Canada. Perhaps punitive progressive income tax on what are relatively low incomes are not the way to go. That if we have to have higher rates of tax, perhaps we match US brackets. Perhaps we don't go over 50% because psychologically people will eschew certain types of tax planning if they know that the net amount they're paying is still less than 50%. Perhaps we embrace flat tax. Perhaps we look at that and what the Eastern European countries did when the Iron Curtain fell. Most of them embracing flat tax, and they've done exceedingly well because of it. Perhaps we look at consumption taxes instead of income taxes. Perhaps we rethink how we develop and encourage profitable intellectual property in this country. I'm a great proponent of something called the patent box. Now, in Canada, we have something called scientific research and experimental development grants, and you see this largely in the medical community. And what they're doing is the government is, in essence, paying the salary of someone to do research. Now, studies will show that these programs yield very little in terms of profitable intellectual property, patents, trademarks, things like that, industrial design. What we need to do is what the British have done in other countries and say, listen, if you can develop or domicile profitable intellectual property in this country, we are going to tax you at a preferential rate, perhaps zero. What would happen to the university, to our intellectual communities, if they are able to turn their engines of science and development towards profit? I think not just in terms of employment, but this country would become far abundantly more rich. The concept that a rising tide floats all boats is quite true. And I think thinking differently, getting rid of these socialist ideas of punitive progressive income tax are something that hopefully a new government entertains and implements in bold and quick time.